Sri Gurubhyo Namaha Harihi Om Jai Shri Ram. Welcome to our next episode in our complete reading of Srimad Valmiki Ramayana. In the previous episode, we saw how Dasaratha Maharaja was lamenting at his poor decision that he has made and how he was tricked by Kaikeyi, how he actually accepted whatever she said and how he did not get time to consult with others, how he was tied by the Satya Pasha or the Pasha of the truth. And he was speaking all this, he was discussing all this with Sumantra. Suddenly again he loses consciousness, he falls down. Now, as he is being brought back to his senses, now Kausalya Ma starts crying, she starts weeping, she says all the words that Dasaratha has said. She says, how can Sri Ramachandra survive that forest? He has never been used to all these hardships. Oh Sumantra, why don't you take me there? I mean, these are all the words that Dasaratha Maharaja has just said before. Now, as if she's repeating all of that, Kausalya Ma is saying all the same thing again. So this essentially shows us the love that the wife and husband have between themselves and how much they both love Sri Ramachandra. And here Kausalya Ma, she asks about Sita. She first of all, she lamented her misfortune and all, and she says almost all the things that Dasaratha has said. I mean, he says like, I am very unfortunate, I am here and all, right? Kausalya Ma also repeats all that stuff. And now she is asking about how is Sita, how is she there in the forest? Oh Sumantra, why don't you tell me about how Sita is there in the forest? Now Sumantra realizes that this is an opportunity for him to calm the queen a little. So he is saying, oh Kausalya Ma, please understand, Sita is extremely happy in the forest. She is living in the forest as if she is living in the home. She is not having any fear. In fact, she is having a lot of trust on Sri Ramachandra. And I have not seen any dainya in Sita Ma's face. Dainya actually means sadness or hopelessness. I have not seen any dainya in Sita Mata's face. Actually, it's as if she was getting ready for this for a long time and she's staying there. And this is a very nice shloka from the 60th sarga of Ayodhyakanda. Sagaropavanam gatva yadhasma ramate pura tadhaiva ramate Sita nirjaneshu aneshvapi. The way she used to enjoy when she goes to a garden and the way she used to play there, she's happily playing in the forest also, when even when there are no people, she's happily playing there. And she's saying, Baleva ramate Sita Balachandra nibhanana Rame Hyadhinatma Vijanepi Vanesati. This lady, this Sita Ma, who has complete faith on her husband Sri Ramachandra, who has left her heart with Sri Ramachandra, and this lady Sita, whose face resembles a moon on a full moon day. She is a Purna Chandramukhi. That's the word he is using. And he's also saying Balachandra Nibhanana, right? And she is enjoying in that forest and she is playing like a girl, small girl there. The word he uses here is Baleva. Baleva actually means small girl, Balika in Telugu. Okay, so he's using the word Baleva Ramate Sita. The way a small girl enjoys, she's also enjoying there. Tadgatam Hrudayam Hyasyat Tadhainam Cha Jivitam Ayodhyapi Bhavetasya Ramahinat Tadavanam. Her heart is completely with Sri Ramachandra. Her life is dependent on Sri Ramachandra. If Sri Ramachandra is not in Ayodhya, right, she'll feel that Ayodhya is a forest. Indirectly, he is telling that since Sri Ramachandra is there with her, the forest is looking like Ayodhya to Sita Ma. So wonderfully, he describes how Sita Ma was there and all. He describes Sita Ma was enjoying, and then he tries to remember whatever Sita Ma was saying, and he keeps telling all of that, but then he remembers a few things that Sita Ma told about Kaikeyi, and then he says, Sita Ma said something about Kaikeyi, but I am not able to recollect it now, so I am not able to tell it now. So one understanding that we can take from here is probably Sita Ma would have spoken some hard words about Kaikeyi, and Sumantra is not revealing that here because he wants to keep Kausalya happy. That's a small thing that we can infer here actually. And then he talks about how her anklets were ringing, how she was running, and then he also talks about how she was walking with Lakshmana on one end and Sri Ramachandra on the other end, and the way she is walking as if she's protected by two huge elephants. He also tells about her curiosity, the way she was looking at every tree, every leaf, and she was asking Sri Ramachandra all the needed questions to understand more about the forest. All that Sumantra discusses, and it's a very, very lengthy discussion that you can find in Ayodhyakanda, Sarga number 60. And he says, please don't worry about them. You need not worry about them. They are people whose history would be written. And then he's saying, Vidhuya sokam parihrushtamanasaha maharshiyate padhisuvyavastitaha vanerata Vanyaphalasena Shubham Pratigyam Paripalayantite. So Sita, Rama and Lakshmana, all three of them, they are happy. They don't have any malice, they don't have any sorrow. They are happy in the forests. They have left all their shoka. They are happy in the forest and they are walking in the paths of rishis and they are enjoying in those forests. They are eating the fruits that are available there and they are following their father's orders. And even when Sumantra was talking all these good things, Kausalyama was still saying Ha Rama, Ha Priyaputra, and then her anger now gets directed towards Dasaratha, who is now again active, and she starts saying that why did you do this? Why did you send him there? You have sent him, Sri Ramachandra, to forest. Tomorrow the world might recognize you as a person who has stood on the truth, but then what about the pain of Sri Ramachandra? How did your heart come? Your both sons are unhappy. They are living in the forest. How can they be happy there? How much ever good name you would get, how much ever you would be revered in this world. Can you stand this? Can you stand this pain? This Sri Ramachandra, who is used to listening to music in the palace, how can he survive in the forest? This is the trouble of a woman who has lost her only son to the forest. I mean, she is not very sure if when he would come back. I mean, she knows he would come back in 14 years, but then 14 years, it's not a small time, right? So she laments that, when will I see Sri Rama's face back? How did you send him there? She almost gets onto a huge criticism of Dasaratha. I am saving myself from using the word tirade, but Kausalyama launches a valley of aggressive sentences on Dasaratha Maharaja. And she ends this by saying, have you ever seen a lion eating food that was hunted or eaten by another animal? No, right? Have you ever seen anybody eating the uchista of others? No. Then how do you think that Sri Ramachandra would come back and take the kingdom from his younger brother? He won't do that. That's not Kshatriya Kula Maryada. That's not what Sri Ramachandra is. So, once if something is used, once a Naivedya is done, you won't take a part of it and do another Naivedya. Once a part of ghee was used in a homa, you don't remove another part of it and use in another homa. So, Sri Ramachandra is not going to take this kingdom. How do we handle this? Oh, Dasaratha, what have you done? Like this, she talks about a lot of things, and now Dasaratha Maharaja, he listens to all this. Kausalya actually says that you have made me an anatha. I could have gone to the forest, but now without Sri Ramachandra, you made me a lady who doesn't have an option, who doesn't have a place to go. Dasaratha Maharaja, hearing all this, he remembers that he did a papa karma previously and that is giving its result now. But then he doesn't directly speak about it. And then he says, oh Kausalya, you are a very great person. You know a lot of good things, but please let me know, is insulting a husband like this acceptable for a wife? You know the dharma, you always follow the dharma. Kindly don't accumulate papa by doing this. He also says, I know you are in pain. I am also in pain, but please don't insult me like this. It's not correct and it will give you more papa. At this point, he is holding her, he is crying and saying, yes, I made a mistake, but please don't insult me further. At this point of time, Kausalyama again starts crying and she says, Ayyo, I did a big mistake by insulting you. But you know what? I am not able to stand the pangs of separation from my son. O Dasaratha Maharaja, a person might be highly willed. He might have a great amount of self-control. But when a shoka, when a misfortune comes on to him, all of a sudden, he will not be able to control himself. He will not be able to control the tormenting of a sudden soka. Sri Ramachandra has left this palace for 5 days, and it's already like 5 years for me. Oh, Dasaratha Maharaja, I am not able to handle this. Saying this, she also starts weeping, and as all this was happening, the sun started coming up, and Dasaratha Maharaja, having heard all this, he started slowly falling into sleep. Now, all this time he was suddenly becoming unconscious, but now for the first time he slowly is getting sleep. Now, what will happen when he wakes up? That probably we'll see in our next episode, and in that episode Dasaratha Maharaja is going to speak about how he killed Munikumara and how that is coming back to haunt him. Sarve bhavantu sukhinah, सर्वे सन्तु निरामयाः, सर्वे भद्राणि पश्यन्तु, मा कश्चित् दुःखभाग् भवेत्. ॐ सर्वं सद्गुरुसाईं चरणारविन्दार्पणमस्तु. स्वस्ति. जय श्रीराम.